Russian tennis players have been banned from Wimbledon 2022, a decision that's been rumored as a possibility for over a month now, but I never took it too seriously, never thought they'd go through with it. As of this morning, it's official. The All England Club has made its stance known. In a statement released this morning, it says, given the profile of the championships in the United Kingdom and around the world, it is our responsibility to play our part in the widespread efforts of government, industry, sporting, and creative institutions to limit Russia's global influence through the strongest means possible. In the circumstances of such unjustified and unprecedented military aggression, it would be unacceptable for the Russian regime to derive any benefits from the involvement of Russian or Belarusian players with the championships. It is therefore our intention, with deep regret, to decline entries from Russian and Belarusian players to the championships 2022. There is their reasoning. There is their statement. I'm going to push back against it. I don't agree with this decision. I don't support this decision, and I'm going to tell you why. I want to start by acknowledging an argument that is going to be popular and an argument that I don't think is wrong, but it's not my argument of choice. I want to acknowledge it just to get it out of the way right off the bat. It's the slippery slope argument. The idea that if you are deciding every kind of geopolitical tragedy or geopolitical injustice, human rights violation, how are you deciding which ones warrant a sanction of this kind and which ones don't? What about the United States invasion of Iraq? What about China's dealings in Tibet or Hong Kong or with the Uyghurs? And you can point to all these things. You can say, what about that? What about that? What about that? How are we going to decide going forward which of these wars warrant, this kind of action? Now, there's going to be some people who say, well, this is completely different. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, apples to oranges, totally different. There are going to be others who think, no, it's the same. It's not any different. And because you have these difference of opinions when it comes to these geopolitical events, that's why the slippery slope thing, while it may not be wrong, in fact, I don't think it's wrong at all, and this is a slippery slope, it's just not my argument of choice. So I want to toss it aside right off the bat because I think there are easier ways to dissect this decision and more, I guess, straightforward reasons why I don't think this is the right decision. First off, let's just look at human fairness. Let's look at the fairness test. It's obviously not fair to the individual Russian athletes that they are being held accountable for the actions of their autocratic government. It is not their fault what has happened, and therefore it's unfortunate that they would be held accountable for what their government is doing. And I know I can put myself in their shoes as an American, and I can tell you I would never want to be held accountable for what the American government does. As an individual, I would not want that. I don't think anybody would want that. I don't think it matters where you're from or how you're politically aligned. I don't think anybody wants that. So we can get that out of the way, that it's not fair. Now, I can acknowledge that this is war. Fairness is not always an option. And if you were to concern yourself completely with making sure that at every step of the way, Russian civilians, Russians who are not a part of the state or the military or directly involved with the war effort, if you want to keep them from being inconvenienced as a whole, you're going to have a difficult time. I mean, widespread sanctions against the Russian economy is something that, as someone who supports Ukraine, and I do, I support their right to their sovereignty. I have a clear side in hoping that they are able to fend off this Russian invasion. If you are like me and you support that outcome for Ukraine, well, then you probably support the economic sanctions that are being levied against Russia, because these things actually work. So I want to move beyond the fairness argument and go to the cost versus benefits argument. There might be a cost in fairness that is justified by benefits, or the ends might justify the means when it comes to a lot of these economic sanctions. If you are going to choke the Russian economy, you are going to inconvenience its ordinary citizens, its civilians. But this thing might be very, very beneficial in the war effort against Russia. You are taking money out of their economy, money that they are obviously using directly to support their side of this invasion. You may be inconveniencing the Russian public to an extent that actually takes away some of their support of the war effort, which is also something that is helpful. In short, it works. It's an actual tactic that works. And if that works, well, then maybe we can sacrifice some fairness. While the Russian, grandmother business owner in Moscow who has nothing to do with the war is inconvenienced here, and it's not her fault and it's not fair, well, maybe because this is something that is necessary in helping Ukraine, it's just something that needs to be stomached. And it is an unfortunate consequence of war. So now let's look at this. What is this? We have the same cost. We have inconveniencing a Russian citizen who has nothing to do and bears no responsibility for the war. Now, what's the benefit? And this is where this decision totally loses me. It's straight messaging. It does nothing. It's just symbolic. And Vladimir Putin isn't concerned about how Andrey Rublev and Daniil Medvedev do at Wimbledon. It doesn't have a real effect like these economic sanctions do that are driving up costs and leading to real damaging shortages and actually having a widespread effect with a real scale that impacts the entire country. No, this isn't that. This just isn't moving the needle to me. This isn't helping the war effort. This isn't worth it. We should be doing everything we can to limit the unfortunate consequence of war that citizens are going to be wrapped up in this. We should be doing everything we can to limit that. Where it's impossible, it's impossible. I accept that. But this is one of those cases where, come on, this doesn't really matter. You're not helping Ukraine, for me, by keeping these players from playing Wimbledon. Again, like, you could make an argument that there's something about the messaging or the symbolism that is going to drum up, I guess, more, I don't know, awareness, or is going to support the anti-Russian cause. I think there's plenty of that out there. And by the way, I'm just going to throw this argument out there as well. I think this one is, you could poke some holes in it, but a lot of the Russian messaging is specifically this, that the West is unfairly and without a cause kind of anti-Russia. So it could even fuel those kinds of messages. However, in reality, I don't think there's any avoiding that. So I'll throw that out there. I'm not fully behind that, but I'll throw that out there. So I want to address one more thing. The Ukrainian players are asking, and I don't know how much this actually matters or how much it is going to put into effect, but the Ukrainian players are asking that the Russian players speak out directly against Vladimir Putin and the Russian invasion in order to play. And I'm against this as well. I'm against this because these players have families that are in Russia, and there's no freedom of speech in Russia. And it is a crime punishable of up to 15 years for an independent journalist to even call this an invasion. There is no freedom of speech in the country. So the way I look at it, if a Russian athlete wants to be brave and speak out against the war, against the Russian invasion, then respect. Respect to them. If they want to stay silent and protect their family, respect to them as well. Respect either way. You can't blame anyone for wanting to keep their family safe, in my opinion, in this kind of scenario. So that's that. I'm not seeing the benefits to this outweighing the costs. That's the reality. And you can hit with slippery slope or anything like that. That argument's valid. Not my argument of choice. But the fairness test, big X, and the benefits versus cost test doesn't pass that either to me. So we go from here. Let's see how this develops. My pulse on this is that there's serious backlash. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, if I'm reading the room correctly, this is a very unpopular decision by the All England Club. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.